there's a lot of limitations on telemedicine, but in a scenario where a physician is actually following the rules and the originating site is correct, the platform, the technology platform is correct, the physician has done everything, it followed all the rules in an appropriate telemedicine encounter. What is, in terms of getting paid, what is a parity law?
Parity laws have been passed in over half of the states, and they vary from state to state. As a general concept, what parity laws say is they compel insurance companies to compensate physicians for a telehealth encounter in parity or the same as if that encounter had been a face-to-face encounter. So if the services that the physician provided via telehealth would have been, let's say, reimbursed for $100 if it was done in the physician's office, then when it's done via telehealth, the insurance company is required to pay that same $100 to the physician.
And I think this area of parity law is, when it comes to telemedicine, is a very interesting area, because there's not been a lot of litigation that has tested these insurance companies. Right now, insurance companies, we get the word from our physician practices around the country, physicians, payers, health insurance companies are not necessarily paying for telemedicine, even in the 35 states that have these parity laws. And so clearly, this is litigation to test parity laws is something that's going to happen in the next couple of years. So John, you mentioned that all 35 states or so have these parity laws in which the state has said to insurance companies, you have to pay the same amount for this telemedicine encounter as you do for an inpatient encounter, given some criteria. But we've talked to physicians all over the country, and we ask them about telemedicine, the ones that are doing telemedicine, and we ask them, are you getting paid for these telemedicine visits? And oftentimes, physicians are saying, no, they're not. And we say, well, what state are you in? And they tell us, and it's one of the 35 states plus District of Columbia that has these parity laws. And this is just one of those areas where I feel it was like if you turn back the clock into 2014, where the pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs, were not acknowledging the validity of any willing provider laws, in which case the PBM had to grant access to a network to allow pharmacy into a network. So parity law to me is it is a huge potential for litigation right now for physicians across the country, because when a payer has a legal obligation to pay a telemedicine encounter on parity with an in-person encounter, and they just flatly refuse to do it, just blatantly not following the law, if physicians don't press payers to pay on these on telemedicine visits, it will be a massive limiter on the ability of telemedicine to catch on nationally.
Agreed. And I think that one of the things that physicians need to do is to, one, go back and look at what their contracts say. Providers, as you pointed out, are slow to react to changes in the law. So sometimes it requires a push. Maybe physicians need to appeal or contact their major insurance providers and in writing request from them their policy on compensating for telemedicine against the backdrop of the state's telehealth laws and the parity laws. Again, they're entitled to be paid the same rate as if the encounter was conducted in a face-to-face in-office setting.